Da Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya
Jaya
Dvaita
Dvaita
Chandra
Chandra
Jaya
Jaya
Gaur
Gaura
Bhakta
Bhakta Vrinda.
Vrinda.
We are continuing to read about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South India tour. Lord desired. Till now we have discussed. Maybe let's begin with this. Prabhu, can you read the Bengali?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. ভট্টাচার্য আগ্রহ করি করেন নিমন্ত্রণ গৃহে পাক করি প্রভুকে করান ভোজন.
The Bhattacharya eagerly invited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and fed him very nicely. So here we are. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has transcendental desire to go to South India. He has discussed, he has his purpose of coming into this material world, internal regions and also external regions. For the external region, he wanted to deliver the fallen souls by distributing the holy name of Lord Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided that he wanted to go by himself. However, Nityananda Prabhu convinced him at least to take one assistant with him, so that while he's chanting, the other assistant can actually carry his personal needs, paraphernalia. But when he came to beg permission from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya requested him, begged him. He said, I cannot live without you, but I cannot stop you also. But I beg you, if you can stay a few more days. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed for that proposal and he stayed a little more for a few more days in Jagannath Puri before he leaves for South India too. So here we can see Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and for prasadam and fed him very nicely. Text 52.
তাহার ব্রাহ্মণী তার নাম ষাঠির মাতা রান্ধি ভিক্ষা দেন তেহ আশ্চর্য তার কথা.
The Bhattacharya's wife, whose name was Sathimata, the mother of Sathi, did the cooking. The narrations of these pastimes are very wonderful. Let's see. Yes.
আগে তো করিব তাহা করিয়া বিস্তার এবে কহি প্রভুর দক্ষিণ যাত্রা সমাচার.
Later I shall tell you about this in elaborate details, but at present I wish to describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South India tour. Is the description of how she served Satimata, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's wife, Satimata. That's also very wonderful to hear varieties of cooking. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I will elaborate on this later, but I want to describe Mahaprabhu's South India tour at this time. Please go ahead.
দিন পাঁচ রহি প্রভু ভট্টাচার্য স্থানে চলিবার লাগি আজ্ঞা মাগিলা আপনে.
After staying 5 days at the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally asked his permission to depart for South India.
প্রভুর আগ্রহে ভট্টাচার্য সম্মত হইলা প্রভু তারে লনা জগন্নাথ মন্দিরে গেলা.
After receiving the Bhattacharya's permission, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. He took the Bhattacharya with him.
দর্শন করি ঠাকুর পাশ আজ্ঞা মাগিলা পূজারী প্রভুরে মালা প্রসাদ আনি দিলা
Seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also begged his permission. The priest then immediately delivered prasadam and a garland to Lord Chaitanya. So here we can see the activities of the Lord and his devotees it's not easy to understand. The mudra, the kriya mudra of Vaishnavas and pure devotees in the Lord are not very easy to understand. No one can understand actually. It's called Vaishnava kriya mudra, na bujhaya, something like that is there. It's not very easy. He the Jagannath, and same Jagannath is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, himself comes and takes permission from Jagannath before he goes for South India. He begged permission to Jagannath. Then immediately the priest brought Mahaprasadam and garland as approval from Jagannath, from Lord Jagannath. Yeah.
আজ্ঞা মালা পানা হর্ষে নমস্কার করি আনন্দ দক্ষিণ দেশে চলে গৌরহরি
Thus, receiving Lord Jagannath's permission in the form of a garland, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered obeisances, and then in great jubilation, he prepared to depart for South India.
ভট্টাচার্য সঙ্গে আর যত নিজগণ জগন্নাথ প্রদক্ষিণ করিলা গমন
Accompanied by his personal associates and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu circumambulated the altar of Jagannath. The Lord then departed on his South Indian tour. So how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions here, he circumambulated the altar of Jagannath. It's interesting. Anyone has circumambulated the altar of Jagannath?
Yes, Prabhu, I did.
You did? Oh, nice. Yeah. We were allowed to do those. We were allowed to do the puja at a certain time. They used to allow to go directly circumambulate the altar.
Yeah.
The Singhasan of the Lord Jagannath. It's
I
very
still remember that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Here it doesn't mention it's the temple. It says circumambulated the altar of the Jagannath. Jagannath is very merciful. Doesn't see qualification, disqualification. Now another point he mentions here is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by his personal associates and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he mentioned two separate things. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is great devotee, but is not a personal associate of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In first Adi Leela, in Lord Chaitanya, his 5 features, the personal associates are described very details, especially the 5 features, Lord Nityananda, Lord Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas, and 3 are Chaitanya, including Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 3 are Vishnu Tattvas, and Sakti Tattva and Jiva Tattva. They are servants. Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur, they represent the Sakti Tattvas and Jiva Tattva. So they are servants. So they are intimate personal associates. It mentioned there clearly. So he says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by his personal associates and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he circumambulated the altar of Jagannath. Then he departed for his South India tour.
সমুদ্র তীরে তীরে আলালনাথ পথে সার্বভৌম কহিলেন আচার্য গোপীনাথে
While the Lord was going along the path of Alalanath, which was located on the seashore, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave the following orders to Gopinath Acharya. Anyone been to Alalnath? Yeah. Unfortunately, I also have not gone to Alalnath. So Alalnath is where during Rath Yatra, not Rath Yatra, actually after Snan Yatra, when the darshan of Jagannath is no more accessible. So devotees go to Alalnath to take darshan. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's not that situation though, but still on his way to South India, he went along the path of Alalnath on the seashore, and there Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave following orders to Gopinath Acharya. Gopinath Acharya is his brother-in-law. Okay, please continue.
চারি কৌপিন বহির্বাস রাখিয়াছি ঘরে তাহা প্রসাদান্ন লনা আইস বিপ্রদারে.
Okay. Bring the 4 sets of loincloths and outer garments I kept at home, and also some prasadam of Lord Jagannath. You may carry these things with the help of some Brahmana. So the situation appears like his associates and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, they accompanied Lord Chaitanya until Alalnath, because Lord Chaitanya desired to go by himself along with his assistant. There Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya instructed Gopinath Acharya, said that, I kept these loin clothes for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says 4 sets of loin clothes and outer garments. Now bring all of them plus some prasadam of Lord Jagannath for the Lord to honor. Okay. Any questions, comments so far? Sorry, I didn't interrupt because there was no purport much. Any comments, questions? Okay, we can proceed.
তবে সার্বভৌম কহে প্রভুর চরণে অবশ্য পালিবে প্রভু মোর নিবেদনে.
While Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was departing, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya submitted the following at his lotus feet. My Lord, I have one final request that I hope you will kindly fulfill. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya again requesting. Please.
রামানন্দ রায় আছে গোদাবরী তীরে অধিকারী হয়েন তেহ বিদ্যানগরে.
In the town of Vidyanagar, on the bank of Godavari, there is a responsible government officer named Ramananda Rai. Purport. In the Amrita Prabhav Bhasya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that Vidyanagar is today known as Porbandar. There is another Porbandar in Western India in the province of Gujarat. My understanding, this says in the bank of Godavari. Is Godavari in Tamil Nadu also or in Andhra Pradesh only? Anyone knows? Godavari, where the Godavari flows in Andhra Pradesh, or it goes to Tamil Nadu as well? Because Ramananda Rai was governor for Madras. So I know Godavari is in Rajamandri at this time, but here the name is given as Porbandar. Any thoughts, comments in this? No? I thought you all would know. So anyway, so here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is requesting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, I have one request, please. There's a person, Ramananda Rai, who is a government officer in the town of Vidyanagar on the bank of Godavari. It may not be Rajamandri. Rajamandri is in Andhra Pradesh. So maybe some other place. So it's a place called Porbandar now. If anyone is familiar, he requested if you can meet him, please. See him, actually. Please continue.
শূদ্র বিষয়ী জ্ঞানে উপেক্ষা না করিবে, আমার বচনে তারে অবশ্য মিলিবে।
Please do not neglect him, thinking he belongs to a Sudra family engaged in material activities. It is my request that you meet him without fail. It's very important purport. Purport is very important for this because one can misunderstand this. In the Varnashrama Dharma, the Sudra is the fourth division in the social status. Paricharyatmakam karma Sudrasyapi Swabhavajam. Bhagavad Gita 18.44. Sudras are meant to engage in the service of the three higher classes, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Sri Ramananda Rai belonged to the Karana class, which is the equivalent of the Kayastha class in Bengal. This class is regarded all over India as Sudra. It is said that Bengali Kayasthas were originally engaged in servants of Brahmanas who came from North India to Bengal. Later, the clerical class became the Kayasthas in Bengal. Now there are many mixed classes known as Kayastha. Sometimes it is said in Bengal that those who cannot claim any particular class belong to the Kayastha class. Although these Kayasthas or Karanas are considered Sudras, they are very intelligent, highly educated. Most of them are professionals such as lawyers and or politicians. Thus, in Bengal, the Kayasthas are sometimes considered as Kshatriyas. In Orissa, however, the Kayastha class, which includes the Karanas, is considered in the Sudra category. Srila Ramananda Rai belonged to this Karana class. Therefore, he was considered a Sudra. He was also the governor of South India under the regime of Maharaj Prataprudra of Orissa. In other words, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya informed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Ramananda Rai, although belonging to the Sudra class, was a highly responsible government officer. As far as spiritual advancement is concerned, materialist politicians and Sudras are generally disqualified. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya therefore requested that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not neglecting Ramananda Rai, who was highly advanced spiritually, although he was born a Sudra and a materialist. A Bisai is one who is attached to family life and is interested only in wife, children, and worldly sense gratification. The senses can be engaged either in worldly enjoyment or in the service of the Lord. Those who are not engaged in the service of the Lord and are interested only in material sense gratification are called Bisai. Srila Ramananda Rai was engaged in government service and he belonged to the Karana class. He was certainly not a sannyasi in saffron cloth, yet he was in the transcendental position of a Paramahamsa householder. Before becoming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciple, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya considered Ramananda Rai an ordinary Visai because he was householder engaged in government service. However, when the Bhattacharya was actually enlightened in Vaishnava philosophy, he could understand the exalted transcendental position of Sri Ramananda Raya. Therefore, he referred to him as Adhikari. An Adhikari is one who knows the transcendental science of Krishna and is engaged in his service. Therefore, all Grihastha devotees are designated as Dasa Adhikari. Very beautiful and very nicely given by Prabhupada. I want to see if anyone has any comments and questions on this, reflections. One thing we can understand from here is that that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita and all these Vedic literatures has to be read, studied under the bona fide teachers. Otherwise, one can get a wrong meaning out of it, especially in this age and time. There's so many improper interpretation of different terminologies, especially Sudra. It has been presented so badly. But we can understand from Sudra, from 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and from Prahlad Maharaj, Sudra is not an ordinary category. They have very wonderful qualities, but society has misused them, abused them also, took advantage of all these classes. All these classes are meant to bring discipline in the society, to serve Krishna. Without division, different categories, classes, no, operations cannot be done anywhere, at this temple or in the community or the society or administration, anywhere. The divisions of responsibilities has to be there. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma bhavasa. 4 varnas, 4 ashramas, Lord Krishna made. So systematically, gradually, the soul, individually and collectively, can progress towards the ultimate goal of life, Krishna Prema. However, in due course of time, in the Kali Yuga, it has been misinterpreted. People condemn such system, but the system has been made by the Supreme Lord Krishna. How you utilize it, how you live it, it is up to us. Now, particularly, there are 2 things here. One is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is requesting to see, Ramananda Raya. It appears that in the past, because Ramananda Raya is also from Jagannathpur, from Orissa, but he is born as a Sudra, first of all. At the same time, and he was he was in government position. He's a servant. So sometimes transcendentalists, they may consider these are inferior. They won't listen. So it appeared like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did not care for much for Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, so for Ramananda Raya. But after he became devotee, become disciple of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could understand the greatness and the transcendental position of Ramananda. Now he's appreciating. In our life, we can also have many experiences, such experiences. We speak somebody at a certain point, they will not value, they will not listen to you. But after several years, they may appreciate, yes, my friend used to say, my father used to say, my mother used to say, we appreciate that. So this transformation in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is manifested, and after his eyes are anointed with love of Krishna by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was now transcendently situated. He received transcendental knowledge. He can appreciate now Ramananda Raya. That is one thing we can see. Now, second thing is why he's really begging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, don't neglect him, thinking that he's a Sudra family and engaged in materialistic activities. Now, one should not take a wrong meaning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hating like this. No, because he was a sannyasi. We already discussed in the past. Because he's a sannyasi has some protocol. They do not associate with materialistic people. That happened, including the King Pratap Rudra. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want to meet even king himself, because I have no reason to meet him, no purpose to meet him. But since Pratap Rudra was a great devotee of Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met him and blessed him also. So even though the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he knows, he's the Paramatma, he knows everyone, he knows very well, this personality, Ramananda Raya. He's none other than, I think he's known as Visakha Sakhi. He's none other than Visakha Sakhi. But still, for external reasons, he's requesting, please don't neglect him, because he's a Sudra. He's engaged in material activities. He's in government position. Please don't neglect. You please see him without fail. Any thoughts on this? Prabhupada writes about this class of person is kayasthas. Kayastha is very prominent in Bengal. And in Orissa, they are known as Karanas. If you see Patnaik, Biju Patnaik, these Patnaiks have very important roles in Orissa actually. All of them are in administration until now, they used to be. Many Patnaiks. Patnaik also falls under the same category. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is, either one is Vipra or Sannyasi, or whoever it is, Sudra, doesn't matter. Those who know the science of Krishna, they should be, they can be Guru. They can be Guru. So here Ramananda Rai has been appreciated because he's a Kayastha, but he has a wonderful spiritual knowledge, and he's a wonderful devotee, great devotee of the Lord. Thus he is worshipped. Any comments on this? So we move to the next. Okay, hope my explanation makes sense. I'm trying to summarize in short way. Please continue.
তোমার সঙ্গের যোগ্য তেহ একজন পৃথিবীতে রসিক ভক্ত নাহি তারও সম
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, Ramananda Rai is a fit person to associate with you. No other devotee can compare with him in knowledge of the transcendental mellows. He is another assurance about Ramananda Rai's position.
পাণ্ডিত্য আর ভক্তিরস দুহের তেহ সীমা সম্ভাষিলে জানিবে তুমি তাহার মহিমা
He is a most learned scholar as well as an expert in devotional mellows. Actually, he is most exalted. And if you talk with him, you will see how glorious he is. It's very nice. Yeah.
অলৌকিক বাক্য চেষ্টা তার না বুঝিয়া পরিহাস করিয়াছি তারে বৈষ্ণব বলিয়া
I could not realize when I first spoke with Ramananda Rai that his topics and endeavors were all transcendently uncommon. I made fun of him simply because he was a Vaishnava. Yeah, we already discussed in the beginning. I didn't know this will come. In the beginning, he thought, he's a Vaishnava. These people, they don't know. They're sentimentalist. Later, we will study how in Banaras, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also will be condemned, saying that the impersonalist, they will say, you're chanting like a sentimentalist. Why are you chanting, dancing? Read Vedantas. Vedanta Sutra, read Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads. So according to impersonalist, the Vaishnavism is a sentimental. Ramananda Rai, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is confirming the same thing. He said, I used to consider him like this. His topics and endeavors are all now he's realizing that Ramananda Rai, whatever he was speaking, was really transcendently uncommon. But I've been making fun in the past because he was a Vaishnava. Anyone who is not a Vaishnava or an unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Lord must be a materialist. A Vaishnava living according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's injunction is certainly not on the materialistic platform. Chaitanya means spiritual force. All of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities were carried out on the platform of spiritual understanding. Therefore, only those who are on the spiritual platform are able to understand the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Materialistic persons cannot understand these activities and are generally known as karmis or jnanis. The jnanis are mental speculators who simply try to understand what is spirit and what is matter. Their process is neti neti. This is not spirit, this is not Brahman. The jnanis are little more advanced than the dull-headed karmis who are simply interested in sense gratification. Before becoming a Vaishnava, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a mental speculator jnani, and being such, he always cut jokes with Vaishnavas. A Vaishnava never agrees with the speculative system of the Gyanis. Both the Gyanis and Karmis depend on direct sense perception for their imperfect knowledge. The Karmis never agree to accept anything not directly perceived, and the Gyanis put forth only hypotheses. However, the Vaishnavas, the unloyal devotees of the Lord, do not follow the process of acquiring knowledge by direct sense perception or mental speculation. Because they are servants of the Supreme Lord, devotees receive knowledge directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he speaks it in the Bhagavad Gita, or sometimes as he imparts it from within at the Chaitya Guru. As Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The Vedas are considered to have been spoken by the Supreme Lord. They were first realized by Brahma, who is the first created being within the universe. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaya. Our process is to receive knowledge through the Parampara system from Krishna to Brahma to Narada, Vyasa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the six Goswamis. By disciplic succession, Lord Brahma was enlightened from within by the original person, Krishna. Our knowledge is fully perfect due to being handed from master to disciple. A Vaishnava is always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And thus, neither Karmis nor Gyanis can understand the activities of a Vaishnava. It is said, Vaishnavaro Kriya Mudra Vigyeha Na Bujhaya. Even the most learned man, depending on direct perception of knowledge, cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. After being initiated into Vaishnavism by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya realized what a mistake he had made in trying to understand Ramananda Rai, who was very learned and whose endeavors were all directed to rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. Very beautiful purport. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is realizing his foolishness. He was thinking, he was very learned. I know everything. Forget about anyone else. To Lord Chaitanya himself, he was thinking he knew more than Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You all remember this incident? He was sitting there. He wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Listen, what is that? Vedanta Sutras, right? Was it Vedanta Sutra? Or Upanishad, I forgot. Anyone remembers? Yeah, maybe if I remember, I'll tell you. So he was trying to teach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, you do not know how will we sustain your sannyasi? How will you retain your keep? It's not very easy for you. And that's why I'm going to teach you Upanishads. He was thinking he know more than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was the leader of Shankaracharya at that time. And the same culture is still prevalent at this time. Now also we can see online, people comment on Vaishnavism, especially ISKCON is preaching very vibrantly. So people do so many comments, but they cannot understand the Vaishnavas. It's not easy to understand Vaishnava's heart. It says, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Na Bujhaya. What is that? Adi Kavaya. No, sorry. Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Bujhaya. For ordinary people, even though they are called transcendentalists, karmis or jnanis, even though on the path of transcendental in cultivating knowledge, still one cannot understand the sentiment one has in relationship with Krishna. That is sentiment, of course, but it is a spiritual sentiment, not material sentiment. In love for Krishna, devotees has all these transcendental desires and activities. Unless one receives the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, no one will be able to understand. That's Prahlad Maharaj says. Unless one receives the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnava, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord and his devotees. It's very transcendental. Just as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is now realizing that his mistakes. Many times at the beginning, we also commit the same thing, isn't it? We do so many, we find fault in Vaishnavas, we find so many comments we do. Many have been criticized also. The interesting story of Nityananda Prabhu from, he used to be Kalachandji temple president. Now he writes his story, how wonderful it was. He was criticizing Vaishnavas. But by the mercy of Vaishnava, he is now glorifying the Vaishnavas. That's normal. The perfection is, the karmis and jnanis they get from knowledge from the sense perception, where the senses are imperfect. Their knowledge and their realization is imperfect. Where the spiritual, with the devotees, they receive the message, they receive the transcendental knowledge by the Lord directly through disciplic succession. Prabhupada's statement is very heavy here. He said, anyone who is not a Vaishnava or an unallowed devotee of the Supreme Lord must be a materialist. It's really not that heavy. In other places you will find, if you're not a devotee of the Lord, then you're asura, atheist. We might ask this question, how is it like that? Because it's simply one rejects the teachings of the Lord. One rejects the Lord himself, then he's atheist. He may appear in a different dress, different varna, an ashrama, in a different position, look like a very transcendentalist, but because one is envious of Lord Krishna, and one cannot be considered as a great. That's not my view. It's Krishna's view. He says divine and demonic nature you can study, or divisions of faith you can study. Bhagavad Gita 16 and 17 chapters. It's not my view. Krishna is very clear actually. Yes, two classes of people. One is who accept the Lord, has authority, has the owner, has the proprietor, has a master, everything. The other person simply doesn't. They may have a different philosophy, but they do not accept the proprietorship. Lord as a proprietorship. They don't accept. That's why they fall under atheist. Any comments on this? Bhavagraya Janardhan Prabhu, generally you have a question. No one is speaking anything. Okay, I can move to the next two more verses we will do. Please continue.
তোমার প্রসাদে এবে জানিনু তার তত্ত্ব সম্ভাষিলে জানিবে তার কেমন মহত্ব.
The Bhattacharya said, by your mercy, I can now understand the truth about Ramananda Raya. In talking with him, you also will acknowledge his greatness. So one is, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, he recognizes now only by your mercy, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, he can understand things well. As Prabhupada gave referred this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Tesam satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yona mamupiyantite. Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So all this fuzzy, the coverings will be cleared by the mercy of the Lord Krishna. He clears he clears or purifies our intelligence within. He gives us the intelligence, our realizations. Everything comes from him actually. Ultimately, if anything we have it now, or if anything we are progressing, is know that it is the Lord who is reciprocating within our heart. So he said, Tamara prasadeve janinu taru tattva. By your blessings, prasada means by your mercy only, now I can understand taru tattva. I can understand the truth. I can, by your mercy, I can understand the truth. Otherwise, we keep on speculating for millions of years. Millions of years we can speculate. That's why we are always eternally grateful to the Vaishnavas who gave us this Krishna consciousness, who helped us, who molded us, who trained us, who corrected us for our spiritual journey every day and every moment. It is by their mercy only, it's by their blessings only we are here and we are continuing our spiritual journey. Constantly our acharyas, the parampara, Srila Prabhupada, devotees constantly pray for all of us. Sarvam Bhattacharya is accepting finally, by your mercy, I can now understand the truth about Ramananda Raya. Is his greatness. Please continue.
অঙ্গীকার করি প্রভু তাহার বচন তারে বিদায় দিতে তারে কইল আলিঙ্গন.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's request that he meet Ramananda Raya. Bidding Sarvabhauma farewell, the Lord embraced him.
ঘরে কৃষ্ণ ভোজি মোরে করিও আশীর্বাদে নীলাচলে আসি যেন তোমার প্রসাদে.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Bhattacharya to bless him while he engaged in the devotional service of Lord Krishna at home, so that by Sarvabhauma's mercy, the Lord could return to Jagannath Puri. Very interesting. The word Kariya Asirvada means continue to bestow your blessings upon me. Being a sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the fourth order of life and was thus due all respect and adoration, whereas Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's householder was in the second order. Second order means brahmachari, grahastha, vanprastha, sannyas. A sannyasi is supposed to offer blessings to a grahastha, yet now by his practical behavior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested the blessings of a grahastha. This incident shows a special significance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching. He gave equal status to everyone, regardless of material considerations. His movement is thoroughly spiritual. Although apparently a grahastha householder, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was unlike the so-called karmis interested in sense gratification. After being initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya was perfectly situated in the spiritual order. Therefore, it was quite possible for him to offer blessings even to a sannyasi. He was always engaged in the service of the Lord, even at home. In our disciplic line, we have the example of a perfect householder, Paramhamsa, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In his book, Saranagati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur states, Ye dina grihe bhajana dekhi grihate golok bhaya, Saranagati 30.6. Whenever householder glorifies the Supreme Lord in his home, his activities are immediately transformed into the activities of Goloka Vrindavan, spiritual activities taking place in the Goloka Vrindavan planet of Krishna. Activities exhibited by Krishna himself at Bhauma Vrindavan, the Vrindavan Dham existing on this planet, are not different from his activities on the planet on Goloka Vrindavan. This is proper realization of Vrindavan anywhere. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we inaugurated the new Vrindavan activities, wherein devotees are always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, And this is not different from Goloka Vrindavan. The conclusion is that one who acts strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is competent to offer blessings to sannyasis, even though he be a grahastha householder. Although he is although he is in an exalted position, a sannyasi still must elevate himself to the transcendental platform by rendering service to the Lord. By his actual behavior, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In this way, he set the example of how one should expect blessings from a Vaishnava regardless of his social position. Very, very great, wonderful teaching. Very great, very deep, and very beneficial for all of us. Many times we have a confusion of different ashramas. Especially people coming from India, we always go with the dress code. We judge one's spiritual position based on one's dress. Now I go to India several times. I notice, people have a lot of. If you wear saffron, then you are sadhu. They don't know. They don't know. They do not know much difference between a brahmachari ashram, sannyas ashram, vanaprastha. They just go with the sadhu, with the dress, saffron dress. That is what is the reason of our declining, the Vedic culture, because we become sentimentalist. We do not understand the ashramas and the dress. What is the meaning of this dress? Who is who? 4 ashramas. Sannyas ashram is considered in Varnashrama system. Sannyas ashram is considered very topmost. All other ashramas, they offer service, respect to them. But in Krishna consciousness is very different. In all ashramas, the purpose of Krishna consciousness is to become a humble servant. The more you advance, the more you become humble. So even though Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is a grahastha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sannyas ashram, he is seeking blessing. Now at this time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not doing because he's the Supreme Lord, just is setting example as a devotee in sannyas order. So even though in sannyas order, he's seeking blessing from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And that is one can, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya can bless as a grahastha also if he is advanced in spiritually. Prabhupada gives example of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was a grahastha. He is also known as Seventh Goswami, very advanced. And he wrote in Saranagat, he says, Ye dina gruhe bhajana dekhi gruhate goloka bhaya. A very beautiful verse. He said, when I come to home, when I see this worship of the Lord Krishna and the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna, I feel I'm in Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan. So there's no difference between Goloka Vrindavan in spiritual world and Bhoma Vrindavan in material world. There's no difference actually. So Grahastha also can be in highest order when one takes Krishna consciousness in accordance with the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. This has been specifically mentioned, not any grahastha. Whenever householder glorifies the Supreme Lord in his home, his activities are immediately transformed into the activities of Goloka Vrindavan. That's what it says. So all these activities are very important for us to understand, and so that we practice in proper way as taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone we'll stop it here. Actually, I'll stop it here. I know we read too much. Any comments, questions, corrections? Reflections, at least. We really covered a lot of subject today. From this, how the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accompanied Lord Chaitanya, and his request to meet Ramananda Raya. And at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was seeking blessings from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. All these simple activities gives us a lot of teachings. Okay. If you don't have any comments, questions, thank you so much for listening, joining. Hare Krishna. We'll stop it here. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Vancha kalpatarivyacha kripa sindhuvyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. How will I stop? Anyone knows how to stop here?